And at number 10, terrible ratings. After everything that happened with Ellen's cancellation in 2020, she thought she would come back on air for her 18th season with an apology and it would all be fine, but that was not the case, and many fans did not accept her lame apology. After a few shows, it was clear that the scandal lost her a large portion of her audience and her ratings were tanking. Apparently over 1/3 of her loyal viewers had stopped watching, which started to become a huge concern for the TV execs. Part of the reason why was that she didn't have A-list guests on her show. There was a rumor that the show was struggling to book high-caliber stars because they didn't want to be seen on her show. After the dismal start, Ellen announced that this season would be her last and she will not be coming back on air for next season. Many think she wanted to quit before she was fired. And at number 9, Drew Barrymore feud. Drew Barrymore and Ellen seem like similar people on the surface, but behind the scenes there is tons of tension, and they are no longer friendly after a big falling out. The two worked alongside each other on a new NBC show called First Dates. Ellen was a producer while Drew was the host, and almost immediately tension started when they had different views on the project. The show was described by the network as a groundbreaking series that would explore all of the simple wonders of a first date. Apparently Ellen expected to be the one calling the shots, but Drew believed she should have creative control because she was the movie star the people were tuning in to see. The show ended after one season, so they didn't have to work alongside each other for long, but it's still a touchy subject. And at number 8, a photo with George W. Bush. Before her main scandal of having a toxic workplace, Ellen was exposed for being friends with former Republican President George W. Bush. Many felt that since Ellen is a vocal Democrat, there's no way she could be friends with someone who holds such different views from hers. Former President Bush was photographed laughing with DeGeneres in autumn of 2019 at an NFL match between the Dallas Cowboys and Green Bay Packers. After a photo of them together went viral, Ellen spoke on her show and tried to set the record straight, telling her audience, quote, "Here's the thing, I'm friends with George Bush. In fact, I'm friends with a lot of people who don't share the same beliefs I have. We're all different, and I think we've forgotten that that's okay, that we're all different. When I say be kind to one another, I don't only mean the people who think the same way that you do." The reaction was very controversial. And at number 7, former bodyguard. After many people came out revealing personal experiences that they had with Ellen, a bodyguard that worked for her at the 2014 Oscars exposed that he had a terrible time working with her that night. Tom Majikak was hired to protect DeGeneres, her mother, and her wife Portia de Rossi as they attended the 86th Academy Awards, which Ellen was hosting. But apparently the experience was very demeaning. He told Fox News, quote, "I'm holding their hands and walking them through individuals and large groups of people. Ellen is the one person that I've been assigned to, and I've been assigned to quite a few celebrities in the past, that has never taken the time to say hi to me." The bodyguard said that Ellen's wife, Portia de Rossi, was very pleasant and kind, and it was really just Ellen that was rude. Adding, quote, "It was very cold and it was very sly, and it was actually kind of demeaning in a way that she treats people other than those who are in her circle." And at number 6, Kathy Griffin. Kathy Griffin is known for getting in feuds with other celebrities, and thankfully she does not hold anything back when exposing how terrible other celebrities can be. Her feud with Ellen has gone on so long that she even trashed Ellen in her book. Griffin even claims she's banned from Ellen's talk show because of their beef. In Kathy Griffin's book she said, quote, "I'm almost positive a certain beloved daytime talk show host once had me kicked out of a backstage dressing room at the Emmy Awards." When describing what this person looked like, Griffin continued, quote, "This person who has short blonde hair has a mean streak that all of Hollywood knows about." Funny enough, the feud started back in 2007 because Griffin did a comedy set where she joked about how mean that Ellen really was. Clearly some foreshadowing. Halfway number 5, Steve Jobs. Thankfully Ellen and Steve Jobs never got into a feud, I guess that we know of, but she did show Jobs just how entitled that she was. A former producer for Ellen's show said that the host once called Steve Jobs to complain about the font sizes on iPhones. Apparently Ellen lost her glasses and wasn't able to read a text on her phone, and she blamed the phone for that issue. The producer added, quote, "She stopped everything and made a call. Next thing we know, we literally hear Steve Jobs pick up and say, 'Hi Ellen.' Ellen told him the iPhone should have a bigger font." The producer added that she's not an evil person, however she is incredibly privileged and doesn't realize that her behavior is not normal. The producer added, quote, "It's not that she's some demon, she just lives in an incredibly privileged bubble and is out of touch with the real world." I wonder what Steve Jobs thought about that call. And at number 4, Brad Garrett. Ellen is beloved by celebrities, so back when she was in the midst of her scandal, very few celebrities had the guts to speak out against her. Thankfully, Everybody Loves Raymond star Brad Garrett shared the truth with his fans. Garrett posted a link to an article discussing the Ellen scandal, and he agreed with the article, claiming her mistreatment of employees was common knowledge. He wrote, quote, "Sorry, but it comes from the top, the Ellen show. No more than one who were treated horribly by her. Common knowledge." Then Back to the Future star Leah Thompson agreed, responding to a tweet from People magazine about Garrett's comment, writing, quote, "True story it is." And at number 3, stole from charity. If you've seen Ellen's show, you know she likes to give stuff away to her audience. But one time she gave away lottery tickets that were supposed to go to towards children's education, and a lot of people were angry. In 1984, California voters approved the state lottery with an understanding that 34% of sales revenue would go towards education, so it was a net good for society. However, on one episode of her show, she gave each audience member $500 worth of these lottery tickets. One whistleblower for the lottery company came forward after, saying the tickets were worth over $200,000, and someone should cover the cost so the proceeds still go to children as intended. Hopefully the show made a big donation after that episode. And at number 2, exposed Mariah Carey. During Ellen's cancellation in 2020, this was a clip that went completely viral because Ellen was using disturbing tactics to get the inside scoop on if Mariah Carey was pregnant or not. Back in 2008, when Mariah Carey came on the Ellen show, there had been rumors circulating that Mariah may be pregnant. However, instead of respecting her wishes to not mention these rumors or further speculate, Ellen forced her to address it on air. After Mariah would not give her a straight answer on her pregnancy, Ellen decided to bring out some champagne for the ladies. This put Mariah in an impossible position, because if she didn't drink, everyone would know she was pregnant. Despite all of Mariah's refusing to take part in Ellen's game, she was eventually backed into a corner. Mariah then took a small sip from the glass. That prompted Ellen to start shouting that Mariah is pregnant. It turned out that Mariah was pregnant, but sadly, she would have a miscarriage just a few days later. And finally, at number 1, Trisha Paytas. Trisha Paytas has had a ton of experiences with celebrities during her time in Hollywood. Before she became a well-known YouTuber, she decided to go on the Ellen show to show off her talents for speed reading. It was back in 2010 when Trish was only 22 and was very new to the industry. Paytas spoke about her 2010 appearance on the Ellen show during an episode of her podcast Frenemies, which she hosted with H3's Ethan Klein, calling controversial help. In that episode, she called Ellen a bitch and said that she wasn't allowed to touch her or look Ellen in the eye. Trish continued on the show, quote, "When all that stuff started coming out about Ellen, I was like, that makes sense because she was so awful. Literally would not talk. They tell you, don't look her in the eyes, don't touch her." And since Trish had a first-hand experience with her, we know it's true.
Number 10, Liam Payne. The former One Direction member was engaged to Maya Henry in the summer of 2020. Their romance began in 2019 when the pair was pictured together at a series of public events, and they announced their engagement the following year, and Liam proposed with a $4 million ring. But Maya first indicated there was trouble in their relationship after a fan went on Instagram and posted a slideshow of Liam hugging and kissing a mysterious brunette. The fan tagged Maya in the post, which prompted her to go off in the comments section. She wrote, "Please stop sending me these pictures of my fiance wrapped around another woman. This is not me, and it's hard enough knowing this happened without seeing it." Scandal erupted online as Liam began receiving tons of backlash for his alleged infidelity, which he adamantly denied, insisting that they weren't together at the time. Either way, the young couple eventually broke up for good that same year. If you're loving this video so far, please hit that like button, it would really help us out. Number 9, Adam Levine. The Maroon 5 frontman has been married to his Victoria's Secret supermodel wife Bahati Prinsloo for almost a decade, and the couple have 2 children together, and another one on the way. But all that came crashing down when an Instagram model named Summer Stroh went on TikTok and posted a video called "Having an Affair with a Man Who's Married to a Victoria's Secret Model," which was basically a whole video confessing that they had been in a relationship with Adam Levine for a whole year. She has also come through with a whopping amount of evidence and posted a series of DMs that Adam sent her on Instagram. To make matters worse, several months after their affair, Adam DM'd Sumner out of the blue asking if she would be okay with him naming his new baby after her. This news was perhaps one of the biggest cheating scandals of the year, and so far another 4 women have come out claiming to have been involved with the singer at one point in time. Number 8, Ned Fulmer. The internet went crazy when a video started circulating on social media of Ned Fulmer from the Try Guys kissing his employee Alex Herring at a New York City bar. Alex is actually one of the most well-known employees of the company, and over the years she's been featured in many videos. But if that wasn't bad enough, she was engaged to her fiance Will Thayer at the time, and the couple had been together for 11 years. The scandal was insane. Fans were beyond shocked that certified wife guy Ned was even capable of cheating on his beautiful wife Adriel Fulmer. He was known as a super devoted husband who loved to gush over his wife in almost every video, so he really betrayed the audience as well as his own family. As a result, he was swiftly fired from the Try Guys, and he had to put out a statement owning up to the affair, admitting to having a consensual workplace relationship. Number 7, Gerard Piqué. In early June, Barcelona and Spain football star Gerard Piqué's high-profile marriage to Colombian star Shakira allegedly ended due to his unfaithfulness. A few days later, Shakira and Piqué confirmed that they had in fact called it quits. According to Spanish newspaper Marca, the other woman was 23-year-old Clara Chia, who was dating one of his friends at the time. Piqué was allegedly smitten the first time he saw her, and they exchanged phone numbers and started dating dating in secret. Now, new details have emerged that he may have been cheating on Shakira as far back as 2012 with Israeli supermodel Bara Faili, who also happens to be Leonardo DiCaprio's ex-girlfriend. The affair was exposed when Shakira found messages detailing their intimate encounters. When she was asked about Piqué being linked to another woman, she told Elle magazine, "I can only say that I put everything I had into this relationship and my family," and pointed out that although she chose her marriage over her career, sadly it still didn't work out. Number 6. Jason Derulo. Nearly 1 year after Jason Derulo and Jenna Frooms broke off their relationship, she exposed him for cheating on her throughout their relationship. When her comment section filled up with people accusing her of sleeping around, Jenna took to Instagram to correct the narrative, saying, "It's unfortunate my situation didn't work out because we once did aspire to be married, but maybe it's best to be single than be in a relationship and constantly be disrespected and cheated on and lied to. No one aspires to be a single mom, but if your non-negotiables are being tested, you'll never find peace in that relationship." The 28-year-old insinuated that Jason had a whole roster of women during the time they were together. She said, "If a man wants a different girl every week over his family, I'll never accept that. We will never be able to make it work happily. I was straight up told that I should turn the other cheek. I'll never be okay with sharing a lover that I love with all my heart. If the streets come first, I can't change that." Number 5. Ime Udoka. Actress Nia Long had been in a relationship with Celtics coach Ime Udoka for well over a decade, and the two share a 10-year-old son. Just 2 weeks before they planned to move their family to Boston, where they were house hunting, Nia learned about his betrayal. It turns out her fiance was having an affair with a married front office staffer. It was Ime who reportedly came clean to the actress about the affair because news of his infidelity was about to be made public. On September the 22nd, the Boston Celtics announced that the coach had been suspended for the 2022 to 2023 season for violating team rules. Nia then released a statement addressing her heartbreak, saying, "The outpouring of love and support from family, friends, and the community during this difficult time means so much to me." Ime also released a statement saying, "I want to apologize to our players, fans, the entire Celtics organization, and my family for letting them down. I am so sorry for putting the team in this difficult situation, and I accept the team's decision." Number 4. Sebastian Bear McLeod. Early this month, Emily Ratajkowski filed for divorce from film producer husband Sebastian in Manhattan Supreme Court after 4 years of marriage. Back in July, a source close to the model confirmed that the couple had broken up because of his infidelity. Quote, "He cheated. He's a serial cheater. It's gross. He's a dog." Although Emily hasn't spoken out directly about her personal life, she has removed both her engagement ring and wedding band and has been photographed without the jewelry for at least 3 weeks. She chose not to trash Sebastian publicly, but instead subtly confirmed the rumors by liking several tweets, including one that said, "Emrata, finally free from that man, just proves that God is actually very real." And "I can't believe that little B cheated on Emrata." In truth, everyone was especially surprised that Emily got cheated on, given her insane beauty and supermodel status. Pretty soon the internet flooded with women in despair saying things like, "Well, if Emily Ratajkowski got cheated on, then no one is safe." Number 3. Neo. In early August, Crystal Renee Smith filed for divorce from Neo after 6 years of marriage, alleging that he had not only fathered a child with another woman, but had been cheating on her for 8 years with multiple women. She exposed him on Instagram, saying, "8 years of lies and deception, 8 years of unknowingly sharing my life and husband with numerous women who sell their bodies to him unprotected, every last one of them. To say I'm heartbroken and disgusted is an understatement. To ask me to stay and accept it is absolutely insane. The mentality of a narcissist." Neo responded on Twitter writing, "For the sake of our children, my family and I will work through our challenges behind closed doors." But the worst part was that Crystal discovered the truth just 3 months after she and her husband had renewed their wedding vows. The betrayal that she would have felt is immeasurable, particularly because in her case, the cheating had been going on for such a long period of time before she ever found out. Number 2. Matthew Morrison. In late May, it was reported that the Glee star got kicked off season 17 of So You Think You Can Dance because he developed an inappropriate relationship with a female contestant. Matthew has been married to Renee Puente since 2014, but he still decided to pursue a female contestant on the show, who has not been named, and sent her flirty DMs on Instagram. A US Weekly source claimed that the messages contained sexual innuendos and were flirty to the extent that he was overstepping boundaries. Eventually, the contestant felt so uncomfortable with his line of comments that she went to producers, who then got Fox Studios involved. After they did an internal investigation, Matthew was fired on the spot. The following week, the father of two tried to recover his reputation and took to Instagram insisting that he only asked the contestant for her phone number to help her get a job as a choreographer on a different show. Yeah, I don't think anyone was buying that. And coming in at number 1, Monty Lopez. During an interview with Page 6 in early July, influencer dancer Renee Ash claimed that she had a 5-month affair with Addison Rae's father Monty Lopez after he misled and lied to her about the state of his marriage with Sherry Nicole Easterling. She said, "He told me that we were gonna be together and have babies together. I thought we had something real. He told me a story of his marriage that convinced me that they were apart and in the process of getting a divorce." The 25-year-old said that she dumped Monty in early July after several other women told her that he had hit on them in person and on social media. She said, "I loved him and I believed him. When I found out about the other young girls, my heart broke." The creepy part is that Renee is just 4 years older than Addison and Monty is 46. What's even crazier is that the affair led his wife to hook up with the rapper Young Gravy, much to everyone's surprise. But the only person who must be truly embarrassed about all this is Addison Rae.
At number 10, we have Patrick Carney. After 3 years, Michelle Branch and Patrick Carney called it quits, and Michelle Branch was then arrested over a domestic dispute with her husband, who she accused of being unfaithful. The Davidson County Sheriff's Office confirmed that Michelle was taken into custody and then released on a $1,000 bond. The singer will then be due back to court on November 7th. Just before the incident occurred, Michelle had tweeted and deleted a note 2 hours earlier claiming that the Black Keys drummer had cheated on her while she was at home caring for her 6-month-old baby. Michelle would then later address that she and Patrick were splitting, and she would also say that she was devastated and that a rug was completely pulled out from underneath her, and now she had to figure out how she could move forward. At number 9, we have Matthew Lawrence. In late August, Cheryl took to TikTok to share a video of herself and accused her ex of cheating on her. Cheryl went on to say that the guy she was seeing would never talk to his mistress again, but then she found text messages and a necklace hidden in a pair of his shoes. Cheryl then went on to write across a video in which she would suggest that Matthew had been unfaithful during their marriage. The Dancing with the Star pro would then caption the clip with the feature of Adele singing "The Last Time" from her song "When We Were Young." Cheryl would then write, "This is the last time and it's absolutely right. Goodbye forever." Now Cheryl was definitely going through the blues now that her divorce was finalized, so she never did call out the cheater by name, but considering that she's never been with anybody else after the couple split, it's clear that Matthew cheated. Hey Peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you can stay up to date on all the gossip to come. At number 7, we have Sam Hunt. Now it's never a good idea to cheat on your spouse. However, we can argue that sometimes there are certain times worse than others. And Sam Hunt cheating on his wife just months before she was due to give her first child, it's one of those times. In papers his wife filed back in May, Hannah cited that Sam was found guilty of inappropriate marital conduct and adultery. TMZ would also report that within her filing, Hannah also checked a box reading that the husband is guilty of such cruel and inhumane treatment or conduct towards the spouse as renders cohabitation unsafe or improper. Now, the divorce papers were filed just a few months before she was due for having her child and the couple's 5-year wedding anniversary. Hannah is now looking to receive child support, alimony, and primary custody of the couple's child. At number 6, we have Angelina Purnick. Jersey Shore star Angelina Purnick had a secret affair for 2 years behind her husband Chris's back. Insiders have said that Angelina has been dating New Jersey native Joseph Tarallo throughout much of her marriage to Chris before he filed for divorce back in January. Joe and Angelina started seeing each other back in 2020 and immediately started to spend more time together. Apparently, she was barely going home and it caused a lot of trouble for her and Chris's relationship. When Chris learned about the relationship, he immediately moved out of the house just before the holiday season, and then he would give her another chance. However, she continued to see Joe and it caused Chris to file for a divorce. At number 3, we have Randall Emmett. Now, Randall Emmett became majorly burned after getting caught cheating by his fiancée, Lala Kent, earlier this year. When the Vanderpump Rules star wiped her Instagram clean of Emmett back in early October, many fans started to speculate something was seriously wrong. Emmett would then be accused of cheating on Lala with a couple of girls while he was in Nashville. Emmett was able to get away with cheating on Lala for so long because he was using burner Instagram accounts and he had a burner phone that he would use to text other girls on. Now, Randall hasn't come out to confirm the allegations, but he has said he'll never talk ill about Lala because she is the mother of his 1-year-old child. At number 2, we have Matthew Rondeau. Now, Shauna Moakler posted some pretty cryptic messages about Matthew Rondeau following their breakup. The post that she would post on her Instagram story would fuel rumors that Matthew cheated on her with multiple women. Shauna would write, "Stop stressing over a guy who can't be yours because he wants to be with everyone." Now, their breakup would come as somewhat of a surprise to fans, as Shauna has been gushing about how supportive Matthew has been with helping her create new content. Matthew would then in a deleted Instagram story come out to say that he would never
never speak to Shauna ever again, and he also claimed that she had been seeing other people while they were still together. And at number 1 today, we have Travis Scott. So last week, Instagram model Rojan Carr shared on her private story a video of Travis on set of a shoot. This video would start speculation that the two have met up. Now, Travis would come out to say that a lot of weird things were happening and going on, and that an uninvited person showed up on his set, and that fans needed to stop telling fictional stories. Now, Rojan would then come out to say that everyone is aware that he and her have been seeing each other, and in recent times they have been together, and that he cheats on Kylie every single night. The model then went on to note that she was even with Travis on Valentine's Day, and when she ran out, Travis had every girl blowing up her phone to get her to come back. Sources claim that Kylie is so sick of hearing about Travis cheating accusations, and she loves him, but she's sick of his commitment issues.
Number 10, MIA. It's pretty common knowledge that the primary viewers of the Super Bowl are composed of conservative America. Basically, this means you don't really want to be a problem as a performer at the show. Well, MIA, the singer known for her songs like Paper Planes and Bad Girls, appeared alongside Nicki Minaj and Madonna, who was the headliner for the show. It was going pretty alright, despite Madonna's pretty lackluster dancing, until a problem arose when MIA decided she was gonna flash a big old middle finger to the whole of football-loving conservative America. Now, the behavior isn't that shocking for the artist, and honestly, you'd miss the moment if you blinked, but conservative America was left feeling completely flabbergasted and outraged, and so was the NFL. The league responded by filing a lawsuit suing the rapper for millions of dollars in damages and demanding a public apology. If anything, this probably actually boosted the rapper's image. Number 9, Janet Jackson. In 2004, Janet Jackson took to the Super Bowl stage with Justin Timberlake joining her about halfway through the performance to perform Rock Your Body. It was a decent performance with a big bold finish that saw Timberlake out of literally nowhere rip one of Jackson's bra cups off, showing off half of the singer's bare chest. Supposedly, it was meant to be that Timberlake tore the rubber top off to reveal a red lace bra, which clearly was not the case, and he just ripped it all off for the world to see. The NFL was on it pretty quick, cutting the cameras as fast as possible, but the damage was done. About 540,000 complaints came in from viewers of the show, as if the NFL didn't notice this mess up. Jackson apologized for what became known as a wardrobe malfunction, and apologies from Timberlake poured out, followed by an interview with Oprah from Jackson. Nipplegate caused conspiracies as people theorized the whole thing was purposely staged to happen. I kinda doubt it. Luckily, no one really blamed Timberlake, even though he totally did it, but it kind of capsized Jackson's career. Number 8, Justin Timberlake, but for real this time. In 2018, Timberlake decided that he would make a video projection hologram of Prince as an homage to the late artist, a part of his show, despite the fact that the guy had literally promised that he would not do that. Timberlake sang "I Would Die For You" along with the video that also used a part of Prince's music video for Purple Rain. Fans of Prince specifically were outraged as they said this disrespected the artist. In a 1998 Guitar World interview, Prince specifically spoke about his dislike of using holograms for this exact reason. If you're gonna honor a guy, the best way you could do it is by not doing the thing that he doesn't like, but you did, which was stupid. Number 7, Maroon 5. Following the controversy surrounding Colin Kaepernick taking the knee for the national anthem and subsequently not getting signed for any NFL team, many musical artists decided to sit out the Super Bowl halftime show in 2019 in support of the player who was 100% in the right for his choice. However, Maroon 5 decided to be completely tone deaf and decided to take the stage out the 2019 Super Bowl halftime show. They got in deep water for this choice, with critics believing all major artists should have boycotted the halftime show to support Kaepernick and punish any company that silenced protests, which is the right of any American. In response to the controversy, the band decided to give $500,000 to Big Brothers and Big Sisters of America, which is nice, but doesn't really have anything to do with the issue that was at hand. It painted a bad picture of the band members and hung over their heads for a long, long time. Number 6, Elvis Presto. This may as well just be a guy shooting his career in the foot. Before the time of Michael Jackson's crazy successful halftime show and its subsequent focus on pop stars, the main acts of the halftime shows varied wildly from year to year. As an example, in 1989, the halftime show was centered around a magic trick performing Elvis impersonator who called himself Elvis Presto. Elvis Presto, with 4 backup singers, performed a card trick where the audience was asked to pick from 4 cards based on how loud their applause was. There was no applause. It was just the absolute most boring and horrible halftime show that I can only imagine Elvis Presto just wasn't heard from for a hot minute afterwards. Number 5. Fergie. Speaking of the end of a career, in 2011, Fergie alongside the Black Eyed Peas were leading the Super Bowl halftime show with their special guest, Slash. Yes, Slash from Guns N' Roses. Going from their signature dance music to straight up classic rock was an interesting change of pace, but it got quite a bit worse when Fergie belted out Sweet Child of Mine alongside the guitarist, giving it what I'm sure was her best shot. But it just didn't go that well. It was not a sweet child, it was a child with a temper tantrum. Fans of the band almost universally revolted for the horrible rendition, and it was just not a good time. Not too long after this, Fergie took to the NBA floor to sing the national anthem, and while it was good for the first bit, it just kind of went off the rails towards the end, and unfortunately, these two performances just didn't help her career, and she hasn't really recovered since. Number 4. Christina Aguilera. Singing the national anthem in front of a worldwide audience of well over 100 million people is not easy, as proven by Christina Aguilera, who really should be able to keep it together. This was actually before the kickoff of the Super Bowl. Aguilera's voice boomed through the stadium, and it was amazing, as it usually is, but she made the mistake of singing the wrong words at the wrong time. The star confused Over the Ramparts We Watched We're So Gallantly Streaming with What So Proudly We Watched at the Twilight's Last Gleaming. Aguilera later complained that she lost her place during the song, but no matter the reason, it was still one of the worst national anthem performances ever, which for the conservative watchers of the bowl is just not okay. Number 3. The Rock. Not a halftime show moment, and also not really a cancellation, but it was just weird. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was brought in to hype up the Los Angeles crowd just before the Rams and the Bengals kicked off the Super Bowl 56. He brought his usual showmanship to the field and delivered a very intense speech to the crowd, but NFL fans and Super Bowl viewers still found the monologue kinda strange. Members of the Bengals and the Rams obviously did as well. The NFL captured mic'd up footage of the Bengals and Rams reacting to The Rock's monologue, with Joe Burrow's quote probably best summing it all up when he said, quote, "What is he doing out there?" And then, on top of that, Zach Taylor was spotted cracking up at Johnson, while Aaron Donald was told, quote, "That's going to be you in 10 years, your acting career." I thought his speech was fine, but for some reason, seemingly the whole stadium turned on him that day. Poor guy. Number 2. Kanye West. No, he never performed at the halftime show for the Super Bowl, but that's not what we're talking about. Kanye is not new to being cancelled, but in 2022, he attended the Super Bowl a few hours after the artist and designer shared several posts targeting his ex-wife, Kim Kardashian, and her new boyfriend, Pete Davidson. And this was only shortly after the rapper dissed the comedian in a song. When he showed up at the Super Bowl, the artist made the bold choice of wearing what looks like a black sack over his head, with some people just assuming that he was hiding after his interactions with Pete and Kim. But everyone knew who he was, obviously, and when he was shown on the Jumbotron with his kids sitting next to him, the crowd at the game let them know that they were not fans of his as they booed and roared out all over. This didn't get him cancelled, but his actions from this point and going forward have just caused the artist to be universally cancelled ever since. Number 1. The Right Shark. In the 2015 halftime show, Katy Perry took to the stage and her whole thing was just a fever dream of an extremely colorful vacation. It was wild. What made it so much fun though was the 2 backup dancing sharks that Katy had behind her while singing Teenage Dream. Specifically, the world focused on the left shark, who seemed to just be having a rough time. He couldn't match the pace of the song, and he was just constantly seeming to make up brand new dance moves all of his own. A mascotted shark that doesn't know what the hell is going on is just so much fun, and it's all anyone could talk about for days after. But by contrast, the right shark was doing great, but his fishy friends stole the show to the point that people accused the right shark of being boring. The right shark was just doing his job, but because of his lack of imagination, he will never work in this town again.
Starting off this countdown, we have Cameron Diaz. Cameron Diaz has starred in a number of iconic movies, from The Mask to There's Something About Mary to Charlie's Angels, and how could we forget about Shrek? Sadly, it seems as if Cameron is over her acting days. She last appeared on screen in 2014 for the film Annie. 4 years later, in 2018, she announced that she has retired. She said that she didn't really miss performing, and as of now, she's just enjoying spending quality time with her daughter. And she loves having tons of time for herself. Who knows though, maybe in a couple more years she'll give acting another go. But as for now, she's set on her retirement. In our 9th spot, we have Jennifer Stone. Any fan of the old school Disney Channel Channel days will recognize Jennifer Stone from Wizards of Waverly Place, where she plays the eccentric Harper. After her Disney Channel days, Jennifer went on to star in a number of TV miniseries and movies. In fact, she was even in a Christmas movie with the actor who played Ned in Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide. Smash that like button if you remember that show. That's a throwback. Anyway, nowadays Jennifer has completely switched careers. She is now a registered nurse and is helping patients with COVID-19. That is incredible. Good for her. In our 8th spot, we have Jessica Biel. In an interview a couple years ago, Jessica revealed that it's getting harder and harder for her to get roles and to be cast. She claims that her good looks were holding her back. No word of a lie, she said that she was too pretty. Anyways, Jessica is still currently acting, but in more low-key roles. I believe her last big role was The Sinner in 2017. I mean, I heard it's a very good show, so props to her. But after that, it's been mainly voiceover gigs like in BoJack Horseman and Pete the Cat. Nothing huge and Oscar-worthy.
At number 7, Lori Loughlin. Actress Lori Loughlin is known for her roles on Full House and Fuller House, but now she's known as yet another celebrity who's been blacklisted from Hollywood. Lori was involved in a college admissions scandal where she bribed college recruiters in order to get her daughter Olivia Jade into a good college. Well, after investigations unfolded and court proceedings went on, Lori was subsequently sentenced to 2 months in jail for her crimes. For a few months, she disappeared from Hollywood and the news as she spent her time behind bars. She began her sentence in late October, whereas her husband was sentenced to 5 months in jail. Now, coming out of the scandal, Lori will be hard-pressed to find work ever again. We already got a taste of Lori disappearing for a while serving her time, so I'm sure she'll stay gone from Hollywood for the foreseeable future.
Coming in at number 6, we have Terry Crews, another actor who has been in some iconic shows and movies. But after Brooklyn Nine-Nine ending, it doesn't seem like Crews has any more work lined up and ready to go. According to his IMDb page, he only filmed Brooklyn Nine-Nine this year, as well as voiced a character in the upcoming animated movie Rumble. This is unlike him, who is normally filming non-stop each year with multiple projects on the go. Hopefully, we will be seeing more of Crews next year, but as of now, he has no projects lined up.
Halfway number 5, Dylan Sprouse. After becoming Disney stars, Cole and his brother Dylan stepped away from the spotlight. However, Cole decided to return and is now one of the stars of the hit show Riverdale. Dylan has decided to stay out of acting and decided to attend college. He attended NYU from 2011 to 2015, where he studied video game design. Then after started All Wise Metering. In an interview with Vanity Fair in 2018, Dylan stated, quote, "After graduating, I realized that it's something I really love doing, and it's also a big business opportunity. I was thinking about ways to invest my money, and I thought, well, if there's anything to invest your money in, alcohol is not a bad thing to invest in." Dylan has started a handful of indie short films since, but we don't expect him to come back into the spotlight anytime soon.
Coming in at number 4, we have Freddie Prinze Jr. You might know him in I Know What You Did Last Summer, or maybe from his iconic role of Fred in the live-action Scooby-Doo. That right there is my childhood. He also appeared in a back-to-back role in Friends in 2002. Well, after appearing in season 8 of the show 24 with Kiefer Sutherland, Freddie said that he wanted to quit acting. According to him, and I quote, "I did 24. It was terrible. I hated every moment of it. Kiefer was the most unprofessional dude in the world. That's not me talking trash. I'd say it to his face. I think everyone that's worked with him has said that. Ouch." He continued on saying, and I quote, "I just wanted to quit the business after that, so I just sort of stopped." So a bad set experience is what triggered Freddie to stop acting. Nowadays though, he's a chef and released his own cookbooks. And he's married to Daphne from Scooby-Doo. Anyway.
At number 3, Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson has been blacklisted in Hollywood for a while now because of his racist and anti-Semitic remarks, as well as other allegations of misconduct that he's faced. Mel has mostly been out of the Hollywood spotlight in recent years, but last year he faced more allegations of discrimination by actress Winona Ryder. She spoke out in an interview about an encounter that she had with him where he called her a, quote, oven dodger, and made more insensitive remarks. In the interview, she went into more detail about some of the offensive things that Mel has said in regards to the LGBT community and people of Jewish faith. This prompted Mel to get cancelled again, though it really didn't make much difference since he's already so hated in Hollywood. These allegations are really nothing new for Mel, and so he stayed away from the spotlight, but I'm sure he won't be coming back because things like this just keep on happening.
Moving on to number 2, we have Betty White, one of the purest souls out there. Betty White is just incredible. No one can deny that. And this queen is 99 years old. Soon she'll be 100, which is hard to believe because she looks too good for her age. Anyway, Betty White has been slowing down on her work lately. Her recent credits are mainly voiceover work, but she has guest starred in a couple of TV shows and movies. But according to her IMDb page, since 2019 she hasn't done any work, which is completely acceptable. Like, this woman has been working since she was a teenager. I just need to know her secrets to living long and looking that damn good. And in our number 1 spot today we have Daniel Day-Lewis. Now this one is hard to believe. Daniel Day-Lewis is incredibly talented. He's got 3 Oscars, 4 British Academy Film Awards, and even got knighted by Queen Elizabeth II. But in 2017, Daniel Day-Lewis released a statement through his rep. The rep said, and I quote, "Daniel Day-Lewis will no longer be working as an actor. This is a private decision and neither he nor his representatives will make any further comment on this subject." This was announced not long after receiving an Academy Award nomination for Phantom Thread. Now, Lewis did go into semi-retirement in the 90s, so maybe that's what's happening again. He's just gonna take a little short break and then come back. Hopefully, he'll be back making movies in no time.
Starting off at number 10, we have Rick Moranis. Rick was a major comedy star in the 80s, best known for starring in the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids franchise. However, he decided to leave Hollywood in 1991 because his wife Anne sadly died of cancer. He was left as a single father to 2 children and put acting on the back burner to raise his kids. After filming 1997's Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves, Rick officially left Hollywood to focus on raising his kids full time. He's voice acted in a handful of roles since, but he's mostly stayed off screen. But it looks like his hiatus might be coming to an end soon, as there are talks to add another installment to the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids franchise. The film is called Shrunk, with Josh Gad playing his son, and it's currently in pre-production on IMDb, so I'm sure we're going to be seeing it soon. Also, make sure to like the video if you're liking it so far. In at number 9, Chris Humphries. Chris Humphries was a professional basketball star and briefly a reality TV star when he was married to Kim Kardashian. The Minneapolis-born athlete played for 9 different professional teams during his career, and he was a pretty low-key player in the league, of course, until the Kardashians got involved. And he became one of the top stars in tabloids with the Kardashian affiliation, even getting him heckled on court. The pair got married, then divorced 72 days later, which of course didn't help the media circus. Chris ended up retiring from the NBA, and he moved back home and started franchising fast casual restaurants. And he's remained out of the spotlight ever since. In at number 8, Audrey Hepburn. Audrey Hepburn is of course the legendary old Hollywood actress known for Breakfast at Tiffany's, along with many other iconic films. Her style also influenced the fashion trends of the next few decades. And even though she was a massive star, many people forget that she retired just a few years after her career peaked. During her acting days, Hepburn worked with UNICEF, crediting them with assisting her as a child in the war-torn Netherlands. Then when she retired in 1988, she became an official ambassador, and she used her fame to help people and bring attention to charities and human rights issues.
Coming in at number 7, we have Lindsay Lohan. Honestly, Lindsay Lohan was responsible for some of the most iconic teen movies like Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen, The Parent Trap, Get a Clue, Mean Girls, Freaky Friday, like the list goes on and on. So it's quite sad that we lost such a talented actress with tons of potential. Anyways, Lohan's drug addiction got to her and she kind of fell off the map. When she did try and get back into acting, she was hard to deal with on set and she was demanding and unprofessional. Then of course we had the reality show Lindsay Lohan Beach Club in 2019, and that only lasted 1 season. Now she's back out of the public eye again.
And at number 6, Frankie Muniz. Please tell me I'm not the only one that had a huge crush on Frankie Muniz when they were growing up, hopefully not just me. Frankie Muniz was a tween star best known for Malcolm in the Middle, but after he became mega famous as a teenager, he decided to leave acting to pursue another career. He ended up becoming a race car driver, and he had a lot of success too. In 2006, he joined Jensen Motorsport as a race car driver, and according to People, he competed in the Champ Car World Series. He also made his way to the highly televised Las Vegas Grand Prix. Frankie has said that he would go back to acting for Malcolm in the Middle reboot, and he did star in a few seasons of Dancing with the Stars. But he's mostly stayed away from the spotlight since his tween stardom.
At number 5, Jussie Smollett. Former Empire actor Jussie Smollett has been in some hot water for a while following his scandal after he was caught making false police statements about an alleged hate crime against him. In January 2019, Jussie, who was openly gay, claimed that he was attacked by a group of people wearing masks who put a noose around his neck and shouted, "This is MAGA country." Well, after a police investigation ensued, they found that the claim was fake and that Jussie did all of this because he was unhappy about his salary from Empire. The charges against him for making a false report were eventually dropped, but similar charges emerged last year, and Jesse was indicted. As a result of the scandal and his crimes, Jesse was fired from Empire and has struggled to make things work for him in the industry since then. There was even a call to blacklist him from the entire industry, but maybe that formality isn't necessary since no one wants to work with him right now over fears of bad publicity.
And at number 4, Nikki Blonsky. Nikki Blonsky's rise to stardom is such a crazy story it could be the plot of a movie. In 2007, she was scooping ice cream in Cold Stone Creamery when she learned that she'd been cast in the role of Tracy Turnblad in the cinematic reboot of Hairspray after applying to an open casting call. But after the breakout role, her career took a dive. Over the years, as Blonsky's acting roles have become fewer and farther between, rumors have circulated from time to time about what she does to make money. Some photos went viral of her sweeping up at a hair salon, which prompted her to respond on Twitter saying, quote, "It's true, I'm working at Superstar Salon as a makeup artist. And more, I am proud to be working and helping pay bills, but I'll never lose sight of my dreams." So it seems like she's still working towards her dreams, but for now, she's out of the spotlight.
Moving on to number 3, we have Taylor Lautner. After Shark Boy and Lava Girl and Cheaper by the Dozen, Taylor went on to star in Twilight, which is probably what he's best known for. Then he acted in Scream Queens Season 2, which was interesting to say the least. After that, he kinda just fell out of the public eye. That was until recently when he announced his proposal to his now fiancée, Taylor Dome, meaning that they will both be Taylor Lautner if she chooses to keep his last name. It seems as if Taylor had a harder time transitioning from Twilight to more serious roles. It took a while, but his co-stars Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart both did it. Now it's time for you, Taylor.
In at number 2, George Clooney. George Clooney has slowly started to drift away from acting, and that's on purpose. The star's opened up in the past about his thoughts of quitting acting for good, and he's spoken about the fact that he doesn't like fame, saying in an interview, quote, "What's the guy in the big house on the hill got to complain about? The truth is, the big house on the hill is isolating. There's no other way to say it. There are restrictions to this kind of fame. I haven't walked in Central Park for 15 years. I'd like to, you know?" Then in 2017, he said that he was seriously thinking of quitting acting, saying, quote, "Look, I acted for a long time and I'm 56. I'm not the guy that gets the girl anymore." He also added that he no longer needs to act to make money, as he sold his tequila company Casamigos for $1 billion. At the time, he had not acted in a movie since 2016, however, he did star in the 2020 film Midnight Sky, but that could potentially be his last movie. And at number 1, Taylor Momsen. Gossip Girl character and former child star Taylor Momsen began her transition out of Hollywood while she was still a series regular on the CW's teen soap Gossip Girl, which explains why Momsen looks so different at the end compared to the start of the show. Taylor formally announced that she had quit acting in 2011 to focus on her punk rock career with her band The Pretty Reckless. 9 years later, in 2020, The Pretty Reckless are still rocking on and preparing for a release of their 4th album. True to her word, Taylor has not returned to acting in any capacity. Momsen told the Daily Beast in 2014, quote, "When I got to a place where I realized I was in control of my own life and had found the right band and everything was coming to fruition, it wasn't even a question. I was going to quit my day job. I came to set every day with an effing guitar. But I'm very lucky the producers were nice enough to write me out, allow me to tour, and pursue my passion." And honestly, good for her for chasing her dreams.
At number 10, Taylor Lautner. Taylor Lautner has been having a rough time lately. He's pretty much disappeared from the media and people want to know what's up. Well, essentially, he's been blacklisted from Hollywood because no one really wants to hire him. Since finishing up his time in the Twilight saga, Taylor hasn't seen very much success. After the franchise ended, Taylor went looking for work, and at first people were ready to offer him some good Hollywood parts, and he was still a big name in the industry after he got so much fame playing his character Jacob Black in the Twilight movies, but soon Hollywood executives realized that he just wasn't the powerhouse that they were expecting. The first few movies he starred in tanked at the box office, and between this and his high asking salary, no one was really keen on taking a chance on the actor. In the years since, he's appeared on some TV shows like Scream Queens, but other than that, we haven't really heard much from him. Taylor has pretty much disappeared into the abyss, and there's no telling whether or not he will ever return. At number 9, Lea Michele. TV and Broadway actress Lea Michele had a tough time last year as she was on the receiving end of a lot of backlash. The criticism she faced last year came from her on-set behavior and the allegation made against her of bullying her co-stars. The first to come forward about Lea's bad attitude was her former Glee co-star Samantha Ware, who responded to her message about George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter movement. Samantha tweeted saying, quote, "Remember when you made my first television gig a living hell? Cause I'll never forget. I believe you told everyone that if you had the opportunity, you would in my wig, amongst other traumatic microaggressions that made me question a career in Hollywood, end quote. This prompted other people who have worked with her to come forward about their experiences working with Leah, and because of all the backlash she got, she was subsequently dropped by her sponsor HelloFresh because they didn't want to support her past actions and didn't want to align themselves with her. Now Hollywood knows about Leah's poor behavior and will probably disappear from the spotlight soon because of it. Now before I continue on with the video, I'd just like to ask you guys to consider leaving a like on this video because we would really appreciate your support. At number 8, Hartley Sawyer. After all the scandals we've seen in the past, I'm sure we all know that sometimes your tweets can come back to bite you, and for actor Hartley Sawyer, his past tweets really went to town on him. After some of his past racist, sexist, and plain offensive tweets came to light earlier last year, Hartley was fired from his role as Ralph Dibny on the CW show The Flash. This comes after the Black Lives Matter movement began to gain traction last year, and so in a show of accountability and respect for those he offended, the showrunners released a statement informing fans of the show of their decision to let Hartley go, where they said, quote, "In regards to Mr. Sawyer's post on social media, we do not tolerate derogatory remarks that target any race, ethnicity, national origin, gender, or sexual orientation. Such remarks go against our values and policies, which strive and evolve to promote a safe, inclusive, and productive environment for our workplace," end quote. Since being fired from the show, Hartley's career has taken a huge hit since his actions have been brought to light, and he will definitely have a hard time finding work since he's considered blacklisted. We haven't heard much from him since the scandal happened, and that's probably because he's already disappeared.
And at number 7, Jamie Lynn Spears. Jamie Lynn Spears is best known for her role as Zoe in the hit show Zoe 101, but she left her career and the height of her fame to become a mother, as she became pregnant shortly after she stopped filming the show at the age of 16. She walked away from fame in an attempt to escape the scrutiny, and years later she shared her thought process at the time with Glamour. She said, quote, "I just wanted to get away from it as much as I could, to just go away and be a mom and figure out what I wanted, and to earn a sense of respect back for myself. Move to a town in the middle of nowhere and just raise my child. All I could be was a good mother." She's now married with 2 children and has not been in the spotlight since.
At number 6, Stassi Schroeder. After facing accusations of racist actions, reality star Stassi Schroeder, one of the cast members of the Vanderpump Rules, has been blacklisted from reality TV and has already begun facing the consequences. This all started after Stassi was part of a fake police report that alleged that one of her fellow cast members, Faith Stowers, was guilty of a crime that she didn't commit. Faith, being the only black cast member on the show, was accused of robbing men in LA. Stassi accused Faith of this crime after seeing a picture of the alleged criminal and saying that this person in question looked like Faith because they were both black. Stassi was later removed from the show for her actions, and as a result of her blacklisting and tarnished reputation, her podcast Straight Up was removed from all platforms. Looks like Stassi's already disappearing, and it might not be too long before she's gone for good.
We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with Jack Gleason, who you might recognize from Game of Thrones. If you're a fan of the show, then chances are you hated his character. But surprisingly enough, even after acting in such an iconic show, Jack barely got any other acting roles after Game of Thrones. In 2014, he was pretty discouraged by this and said he wanted to resign from acting to focus on his academics. He ended up taking a philosophy course in Ireland. When he announced his decision to take a break from acting, he said, and I quote, "I just stopped enjoying it as much as I used to, and now there's the prospect of doing it for a living, whereas up until now it was always something I did for recreation with my friends or in the summer for some fun. I enjoyed it. When you make a living from something, it changes your relationship with it. It's not like I hate it, it's just not what I want to do." But acting isn't out of the picture. He ended up opening a successful touring theater company and starred in the BBC comedy Out of Her Mind in March. He just won't be in the spotlight as much as he was originally.
At number 4, Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry made headlines last year after they announced that they were stepping away from royal duties and would be splitting their time between the US and the UK. Meghan already faced a lot of backlash and scrutiny by the British people and members of the royal family, so in a way she was blacklisted from this society. Her relationship with the royals and her presence in the media, as well as details from her past, made a lot of people hold aggressions towards her. As a result of these circumstances, she and Harry, as well as their son Archie, took a step back from the public eye and their senior duties as members of the royal family. Meghan sort of disappeared from the public as a result, and though this is exactly the outcome that she hoped for, I'm sure it isn't easy being watched the way that she and the rest of the royal family is, so I applaud her for doing what is best for her and her family.
And at number 3, Kevin Jonas. Kevin Jonas is of course the older brother of the Jonas Brothers. But although Kevin Jonas rose to stardom during his time as a performer with his brothers, after the band broke up in 2013, Jonas focused on creating apps and other business ventures with his fortune from his Joe Bro days. He created an app called You'd, which showed nearby restaurants serving the type of food that you picked from a menu. He also started Jonas Warner, a real estate development and construction company that he established soon after the breakup of the band. In addition, Kevin is the co-CEO of The Blue Market. It's a business venture mainly focused on communication and pushing them to be actively visible in social media and gain a following. And although it seems that Kevin would prefer a life away from the spotlight, the band is such a staple in the hearts of young people everywhere, including myself. The band has gotten back together and recently made music. So it seems that Kevin's back in the spotlight for now, but not sure if that could change again in the future.
At number 2, Tekashi 6ix9ine. Rapper Tekashi 6ix9ine was seen as a snitch and a snake for a while after testifying against gang members and supportedly throwing people under the bus in order to get a lighter jail sentence. Well, now that he's out and making music again, he's feeling the repercussions of his tattered name in the media, as well as his time behind bars. Tekashi is now saying that he's been blacklisted by the music industry after his new music wasn't promoted on any streaming platforms and wasn't featured in any playlists. After dropping his album Tattletales, he wasn't met with the same praise that he would have expected, and so after realizing that his music has been in a way shadow banned, he disappeared from the spotlight temporarily since his career wasn't doing so well. Tekashi is known for trolling online, so when fans noticed the rapper had gone MIA, they were a little bit concerned, but none more concerned than the rapper himself because he was afraid for his career. He seems to be slowly bouncing back now, but he still has a little ways to go yet before he can really pick up to where he was before his stay in prison. And finally, at number 1, Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp had quite the year in 2020 and not in a good way. As you may all know, Johnny and his ex Amber Heard were all over the news last year concerning Johnny's libel case with the Sun publication and their labeling of Johnny as a wife beater. After the verdict came through on this case, awarding the victory to the Sun, Johnny started feeling the repercussions of this loss. Though the world found out that Johnny was in fact a victim of violence rather than the one who was inflicting the violence, movie studios and executives still started letting Johnny go regardless. First, he was let go from his role as Grindelwald in the Fantastic Beasts films, and then we learned that he'd been blacklisted from Disney for a while as they refused to cast him in future productions. Now Johnny is susceptible to disappearing from Hollywood because of a loss of work. Though many of his fans are looking to keep his career alive and advocate for him, as far as Hollywood is concerned, he's too much of a risk, so unfortunately it's not looking good for the actor. But I, as well as many others, are optimistic that he will definitely come out on top in the end. Now, I want to know what celebrities you want to see thriving in 2021. Last year was a cesspool of toxicity in the media and in Hollywood, but hopefully things will start to change for the better and we can see some rising stars doing some good. Let me know which celebrities you want to see thrive down in the comments.
Starting off our list at number 10 is Jennifer Lawrence. If you are a fan of the actress, then you might be wondering where she has been lately. She hasn't appeared as a lead in a film since 2018, and there was a time when she was appearing in most of them. Turns out she didn't disappear on purpose or have some epic plan to leave Hollywood, but her presence has not been made known and she hasn't been around much in the last few years. Even before the coronavirus pandemic started, Jennifer had been quarantining in her own little world, it seemed. Turns out she took some time off from acting and got married, which was completely private. She started dating her now husband, Cook Maroney, in 2018, and their wedding was on October 19th, 2019. The whole thing was kept as private as possible, and some would say her priorities were changed due to this new chapter in her life. But some good news, she is set to return to some movies next year. She signed on to a movie called Don't Look Up, which is now delayed until 2021, so it might just be her big comeback. Here's hoping, I really like her. Up next, number 9 is Macaulay Culkin. Probably one of the biggest examples of a celebrity disappearing from the Hollywood limelight. During the 90s, he was a child star that rose above the rest, and it seemed like his future in the industry was very bright. But he suddenly disappeared, and people were wondering what happened to the most famous kid on earth. In 1994, he had 3 big movies that year, and all of them bombed at the box office, which would definitely have an impact on a 14-year-old actor trying to make it big. He officially took his exit from the industry in 1995 during a difficult time in his personal life. His parents decided to separate and they were facing a very vicious custody battle over Macaulay and his siblings. In the end, reports say his mother got full custody and he was estranged from his father ever since. We didn't see him in movies for many years, and anytime the paparazzi found him, the articles reported that he was struggling with a drug addiction. It wasn't until recent years that he has resurfaced and is taking on smaller projects but on his own terms. Swiping the number 8 spot is Meg Ryan. For a long time, she was known as America's sweetheart after taking over the 90s with her beauty and talent. After her first movie role in 1981, she kept getting job offers to a point where she had to drop out of college to focus on her film career. She was starring in some of the biggest rom-coms to this date, but then just disappeared in the early 2000s. Some people thought it may have to do with the scandal in which she was caught cheating on Dennis Quaid with Russell Crowe. Almost a decade after the scandal, she revealed that she was treated like the Scarlet Woman after that scandal happened, and revealed that Dennis had been dating other women too during their relationship. She also admitted that leaving Hollywood was actually a dream. During an interview, she said, "I have gotten what I guess I secretly wanted to do, be totally under the radar and live my life." Meg had no roles from 2009 to 2015, but in recent times you may see her in paparazzi photos around New York or some events because she will always be Meg Ryan. During her time away, she completely reconstructed her face though, so she may not be as recognizable as when you saw her last. Sliding into number 7 spot is James Franco. The reason why he landed himself on the blacklist is really no surprise anymore. It was in the news for a while and I have talked about it a handful of times on this channel, but for those who aren't familiar with the story, I will sum it up for you. It all started back in 2014 when screenshots surfaced of him trying to rent a hotel room for him and a 17-year-old girl who he knew was underage, and screenshots show that. Of course, when the screenshots broke the internet, people were disgusted and we thought we would never hear from him again. But surprisingly, his career continued on after the scandal faded out. All was good in the hood until 2018 when he showed up to the Golden Globe Awards wearing a Time's Up pin. The pin was designed to show support for women who are victims of sexual assault and harassment. But a variety of women started tweeting accusations of sexual misconduct and assault in reference to his pin. They literally started tweeting out stories of how he sexually assaulted them and hashtagged it #CuteTimesUpPin. Since then, he's been completely MIA. We haven't seen him on the big screen, and he deleted all of his social media accounts. Anything on his IMDb accounts are small projects that he has produced himself on his own budget. His most recent project, Zeroville, just came out and it's the first time we are seeing him acting in years. However, it's already been titled the biggest box office flop of 2019, earning just $8,000 on its opening weekend in the US. Yikes. Rolling into number 6 is Rachel Platten. The singer skyrocketed into fame with her hit single Fight Song. She grew a huge fan base rather quickly, and one fan even made it on the Ellen Show after she did an emotional cover to the song Fight Song. Her music career was gaining a ton of success, and she's even gone on some pretty epic tours. But in recent times, she's gone quiet and has not been putting out new music. She opened up about her reasoning in 2019, saying that after having a baby, she struggled with postpartum anxiety. She opened up about it in a lengthy Instagram post where she said that even when she was on tour, she was crying in bathrooms some days because the anxiety was so difficult. So once the tour was done, she poured her heart and soul into being a new mom and less on the Hollywood life as a singer. But she did recently pop up on TikTok and said that she's creating new music and is hoping to be back into it soon. Halfway through the list at number 5 is Richard Stanley. Now this man isn't well known to some, but his story of disappearance is really interesting. If you've ever heard of the movie The Island of Dr. Moreau, he was the director and got himself fired just 3 days into production. According to the Telegraph, he was supposed to be escorted onto a flight from the set in Australia and fly back to Los Angeles, but when the plane arrived at LAX, he wasn't on it. Some of the extras from the movie ended up finding him a month later living in the jungle. Turns out he left the airport and made his way through the jungle by living off of coconuts, yams, and his personal marijuana stash. No, this is not a joke. What's even crazier is that he teamed up with the extras to create a plan to get back onto the movie set by dressing up as a mutant dog and blending in with the background actors. Like what? I know this story doesn't sound real, you guys, but it is. I swear. Like the source is down below. Taking the number 3 spot on our list is J.D. Salinger. Everyone who went through high school had to read the book The Catcher in the Rye, which was written by a famous author, J.D. Salinger. He sadly passed away in 2010 at the age of 91, but before that, his career took a turn and he went into hiding after being blacklisted, but we never even knew. In 2013, 2 authors named Shane Salerno and David Shields published a book called Salinger, which revealed the author's crazy life and uncovered some very heartbreaking stories. Turns out he actually never spoke about his time time in the World War II, and he ended up checking himself into a mental institution after leaving to help him deal with what he had witnessed in the war. Once he left the institution, he actually went back into the army and participated in the denazification of Germany. But because of this, there were times that some of his books were turned down. Publishers turned him down because they thought that he was crazy. Jane Salerno said during an interview, "Being told that he was crazy was a great wound to him. In fact, he teared up in the room and was deeply, deeply hurt." They said that the effects of the war and being turned down as a writer sent him into this life of isolation. He disappeared from everyone and went on to live a very private life. Honestly, after hearing this story, I feel like I really underappreciated the whole Catcher in the Rye book. Like, I hated reading that. I'm pretty sure I didn't. I probably did those things where you Googled the notes and it like sums it up for you. In spot number 2 is Freddie Prinze Jr. The actor was popping up in movies all over the place between 1998 to 2003, but then just disappeared without much reasoning for it. He did try to make big comebacks, but his last big screen appearance was in 2008. He was a huge heartthrob in the 90s and won multiple Teen Choice Awards for his roles. But it seemed like his career had lost some momentum, and he ended up trading in his movie career for a family. He married actress Sarah Michelle Gellar, who also retired from Hollywood, and now they have 2 children together and have changed their career paths. When asked if he would return to acting, he said, "I love being a full-time father. To remove myself from that equation would not be a good thing. I'm basically retired." After acting, he turned his focus on cooking and now has his own cookbooks, which I thought was very random. We have made it to number 1, and we have Amanda Bynes. She had everything she needed as a young star to climb to the top. She seemed passionate about her work and was determined to keep her success going. Fans absolutely adored her in every role that she took on. But then everything sort of took a turn and fans no longer saw her on their screens. Articles started surfacing showing she had been struggling with substance abuse and was getting in trouble with the law, being arrested for DUIs and other minor crimes. She was in and out of treatment center for years, and fans were hoping that she would find her way back. But her struggles actually go deeper than just drugs. Reports say that she struggles with mental illness and has been trying to find treatments for it. In recent years, she's been able to turn her life around, working hard to get an education. She recently received a degree in fashion after studying at the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising in Los Angeles, and her lawyer said that she's thinking about creating her own clothing and perfume line. Starting off the list at number 10 is Jay-Quan. He made a name for himself in the music industry after rapping about everybody in the club getting tipsy. You remember? Everybody in the club get tipsy. What's the next part? Something like that, right? I don't remember, something like that, but you guys remember that was his song. Anyways, his career was on the rise the same way his songs were on the charts, but then he disappeared from the music world and the public eye altogether. His own friend and manager, Dorian Washington, revealed in March 2010 that he kept trying to call and email him and hadn't seen him since August 2009. His label issued a statement asking fans to help locate the rapper. They even set up a special Twitter account called @WhereIsJayQuan. After all the chaos, his manager finally wrote a statement saying, "I am very happy to let everyone know that I personally spoke with Jay-Quan today and he is okay. He was taking some time to himself as he sometimes does, not realizing that people would start to worry after a while." How could you not realize something like that? At least just tell your family. At number 8 is Dave Chappelle. Comedy fans saw him everywhere in the early 2000s when he was starring on his comedy show, Chappelle's Show. The entire show was headlined by him, and he had some other comedian guests to help him out. His series was successful, being nominated for an Emmy and catching the eyes of other rival networks. His representatives went to negotiate a contract for season 3 and later reported that Dave, I quote, signed a new development deal with Comedy Central that could have yielded him as much as $50 million. After that headline made news, he went missing. No one knew what happened to him or the show, and how he could just walk away from a $50 million contract. Fans later learned that he was in South Africa attending a spiritual retreat. He continued to remain in hiding and focus on his personal life until he made a successful return back in 2016. Up next, number 7 is Jonathan Taylor Thomas, another heartthrob from the 90s who just disappeared from the industry randomly. He's mostly known for his role on the hit TV show Home Improvement, but he was winning over hearts ever since he performed the voice of young Simba in The Lion King. But when he reached his late teens, he quit Home Improvement, did a couple indie films, and then just vanished completely. A very bold move for someone who was just at the height of their career and probably had a long, successful one ahead of them. He is now 39 years old and hasn't walked a red carpet in over 15 years. So where did he go and what is he been up to? Turns out that he loved acting but hated the fame and attention being directed at his personal life.
So he left and decided to focus on his studies instead. At 19 years old, he enrolled at Harvard University, where he spent 2 years studying philosophy and history. A few years ago though, he did make an appearance in Last Man Standing, where he was reunited with Tim Allen, who actually played his dad in Home Improvement. But he did it just for fun and says that he enjoys his life outside of Hollywood. Swiping the number 6 spot is Governor Mark Sanford. I feel like the governor counts as a celebrity, right? I mean, like, he's really well known. Regardless, he is on this list, and back in 2009, he was the governor of South Carolina. People were completely thrown off when he suddenly disappeared for 6 days without telling anyone where he went. I feel like if you're a governor, you can't do that. After the first 6 days, he started telling people that he was going on a hike on the Appalachian Trail. However, he was really going to Argentina to visit his mistress, a woman named Maria Belen Chapur. Once the story surfaced, he admitted to his secret affair and returned to the US and asked for forgiveness. Well, he kinda begged for it. And for those wondering, after the disappearance mystery was solved, his marriage did fall apart. As it should. Halfway through the list, number 5 is Brendan Fraser. 10 years ago, he was one of Hollywood's biggest stars, but then he suddenly disappeared. For 90s babies like me, you would know him from the Mummy franchise, George of the Jungle, and the Looney Tunes. After 2008, he disappeared from starring in big movie roles, and people started saying it was due to a drug addiction. But he finally came out with the truth years later, admitting that it had to do with an incident of sexual assault. He claimed that he was once physically groped by Philip Burke, a former president of the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. Burke called the allegation a, I quote, total fabrication, but still sent Brendan an apology letter after the actor complained to the HFPA. Since coming out with his story, he has slowly been returning to some acting roles, but for the most part, he just lays low at his home in New York. He actually bought a big house that overlooks a farm and has spent the last year going back and forth between home and Toronto. He loves spending time with his horses and relaxing down his little dirt road. Definitely a big step back from the Hollywood lifestyle. Here we are at number 4 with Randy Quaid. He was once an Academy Award nominee actor before he disappeared from the limelight. In 2010, his disappearance started making headlines, revealing that he and his wife, Evie Quaid, fled to Canada to try and make a deal with a group called Hollywood Star Whackers, who allegedly were out to kill them. But on their escape to Canada, they got involved in some illegal activities. They used fake credit cards to pay for hotel bills, and also lived in one of their former homes, which they no longer owned or had rights to. According to CNN, they were granted permission to stay in Canada in 2011. His wife was able to get her Canadian citizenship because her dad was born in Canada, but Randy's request was denied in 2013. The actor was finally detained by Canadian immigration officials in October 2015 and was set to be deported back to the US later that month. However, he and his wife were arrested for trying to sneak back into the US through Vermont. So it's basically just a big show. Everyone always runs off to Canada because we're so nice over here. We'll just let you come in. Making our way into number 3 is Mara Wilson. If you watched the movie Matilda when you were a kid, then you quickly fell in love with the title character and hoped that she would be your friend and teach you all of her cool magic tricks. The movie is a cult classic, and the actress behind the iconic character, Mara Wilson, had a very successful career lined up for her. But just a few years after the movie was released, Mara decided to quit the biz. Many people couldn't understand her decision and reasoning, so down the road she wrote a book called Where Am I Now? The Stories of Girlhood and Accidental Fame. After leaving Hollywood and growing her personal life, she found a passion for writing and started writing her own novels. She now lives a very normal life, but said that sometimes she will act in smaller projects with her friends. Taking our number 2 spot on our list is Casey Kasem. The legendary radio host of American Top 40 suddenly went missing, and his children reported it to the police, saying that they could not find him. It was then in May 2014 that the judge ordered that his whereabouts be disclosed. The order was made because his daughter Carrie was named his temporary conservator. She had expressed fear that he was taken by his wife Jean, who had an ongoing battle with the entire family. The radio host was suffering from Lewy body disease, and Carrie thought her mom took him out of the country or to an Indian reservation to seek treatment. A missing persons report was filed with the Santa Monica police, but he was reported to be found in the state of Washington not long after. Sadly, he died a month later at the age of 82, and his family drama continued on long after his death, still making headlines. At number 1 is D.B. Cooper. He only became famous for hijacking an aircraft in the Northwest United States back in 1971. TV show plots, songs, and books have all been based on the legend of this man for many years, including the movie Without a Paddle. The craziest part about the story is that he's actually an unidentified man. His real identity still remains a mystery to this day, so D.B. Cooper is just the name that he's been given. On Thanksgiving Eve back in 1971, he hijacked a plane saying he had explosives in his possession and demanded $200,000 and 4 parachutes in addition to a truck when they landed at the airport. Authorities did pay out the ransom and gave him the parachutes. However, before they got to the airport, he jumped from the plane 10,000 feet near Mount St. Helens in Washington state. He was never found, and in July 2016, the FBI declared that they were no longer pursuing him. So basically, he could be out there walking the streets right now. He could be watching this. Hi DB. Starting off the list at number 10 is Monique. It has been a year since the actress rocked the industry by going head to head with Netflix, saying that she didn't get paid what other comedians did for her comedy special. Things went as far as Monique demanded a boycott against Netflix and turned down the $500,000 they offered her for the special. I'll take that $500,000. Amy Schumer got $13 million for hers, to put it into some perspective for you. So I guess, yes, that is a big difference. Long story short, she caused a huge controversy saying that she didn't get paid as much because she was black. She then went on to insult about 80% of fellow entertainers in the industry who weren't supportive of her claims. And that is when the queen of daytime TV stepped in, Oprah. The two of them were once like family, pretty much best friends, but had an issue back in 2009 after Oprah brought Mo's family on her show without her consent. She ended up bringing her mom and her brother, who Monique has openly accused of sexually assaulting her, so obviously there was a lot of beef there. They were able to work things out, but when it came to these more recent scandals with Netflix and the rest of Hollywood, Oprah called Monique negative during an interview, and she clapped back at Oprah, calling her a coward. We haven't heard much from her ever since, and she hasn't acted in anything since 2016. So girl, where are you at? Where are you hiding? Next up at number 9 is Jared Fogle. If you don't recognize him by just his name, he was that guy that was pretty much in every Subway commercial. He was literally the pitch man for the entire company, like that was his actual job. He got the sweet gig after losing a significant amount of weight with the help of Subway sandwiches. His weight loss story led him to being the spokesperson for all of their advertising campaigns from the years 2000 all the way until 2015. We saw his face everywhere, but then all of a sudden that quickly changed and he basically went into hiding. But once we found out why, it made sense. Some people might have noticed that he was no longer the face of Subway and questioned why, until headlines came out saying that he was charged for child pornography and paying for sex with minors. He pleaded guilty to his charges and was sentenced to 15 years in federal prison. His attorneys argued that he should only have a 5-year sentence since the girls he had sex with were 16 and 17 years old, not young children. That did not work in his favor. Jared agreed to pay a total of $1.4 million in restitution to 14 different victims, and on top of that, the judge fined him $175,000. Since then, his disappearance is no longer a mystery, and he is now behind bars. Coming in at number 8 is Stacey Dash. You probably know her as the actress from the iconic movie Clueless. She was blacklisted a few years ago after her political views cost her her entire career. She's a conservative who was clever enough to write a book on her blacklisting experience and called it "There Goes My Social Life from Clueless to Conservative." It all happened by one simple tweet. During the Barack Obama election, she tweeted out, "Vote for Romney, the only hope for your future." She said she tweeted it out because she didn't want Obama to have another 4 years, they were her beliefs, and she was sticking by them. But when she woke up the next day, everything was different. She spoke about it during an interview in 2016 and said, "I've been blacklisted, my agents have dropped me, I haven't auditioned in over a year because my beliefs and what I stand for." After that, she disappeared from Hollywood basically. We stopped hearing about her, but the mystery of her disappearance ended just 2 days ago. She was back in the headlines, but this time it was because of her mugshot. Turns out she was arrested for domestic battery after an incident with a male. So things are not looking too good for her. Next up at number 7 is Fan Bingbing. She is one of China's highest paid stars and was in the Hollywood spotlight in 2014 after she starred in X-Men Days of Future Past. Her face was everywhere and she was walking every red carpet to promote the film, but before we knew it, the media was reporting that she suddenly disappeared. Rumors started and were later confirmed that she was busted for committing tax evasion. The Global Times revealed that Fan reported an income of $1.5 million in a small contract and $7.5 million in a larger contract, which was illegally filed as tax-free income. She was placed in secret detention, which explains why she mysteriously disappeared out of nowhere, but she was eventually released after her company agreed to pay $130 million back in taxes and fines. Once she emerged back in the spotlight, she issued an apology saying, "I am deeply ashamed and guilty about what I have done. My sincere apologies to you." And at number 6 is Roseanne Barr. The actress once had her own ABC show titled after her, Roseanne, which is why it is such a shame that she lost it all by another single tweet. People are losing their careers over Twitter. Maybe it is time to delete your account. Besides her work, she's also known for being a Trump supporter, which of course has caused her some controversy. However, it was a specific tweet back in May 2018 that had her career spiral out of control. Her tweets were about Valerie Jarrett, a senior advisor to the former President Barack Obama. In her tweet, she compared Valerie to the cross between the Muslim Brotherhood and the movie Planet of the Apes. ABC canceled her show immediately, which was supposed to reboot the same day, coincidentally. As of January of this year, her Twitter was off limits and she moved into her mother's basement in order to get out of LA. She said that she was worried that everyone hated her and just wanted to avoid the public eye. We haven't heard or seen much from her, but the paparazzi is still trying. A more recent image surfaced a few months ago of Roseanne looking all disheveled outside of her home in Salt Lake City, Utah. Apparently, she was trying to take a picture of the paparazzi's license plate. She looks like a damn hot mess. Halfway through the list, at number 5 is Cameron Diaz. Back in 2014, she was one of the most sought out female celebrities in the game. She was appearing in tons of magazines and taking the lead in comedy rom-coms. But then she suddenly disappeared from the limelight and was no longer showing up on our screens. It wasn't until 2018 when she admitted to Entertainment Weekly that she had officially retired from acting. Fans were shocked at first, but later found out that she went on to have a more quiet family life. She got married to Benji Madden and they had a little girl, so her attention and priorities completely switched, as it would for a lot of new mothers. Reports say that having a baby was one of the main reasons why she left Hollywood. Reports claim that they were trying to get pregnant for a while and nothing was working. But fans did get a nice surprise recently when she did a Skype interview with Jimmy Fallon where she talked about being a mom and what she is up to these days. Here we are, number 4, with Paula Deen. For years you would have seen her face plastered all over the Food Network. This was until a lawsuit was filed against her by Lisa Jackson, accusing the celebrity chef of racial discrimination. Lisa is Paula's former general manager at one of her restaurants, so they were once very close. She claims that Paula was using the N-word when talking about African Americans. She was asked during an interview if she has ever used this word, and her response was, "Yes, of course, it's just what they are, they're jokes. Most jokes are about Jewish people, rednecks, black folks. I can't determine what offends another person." After her statement, networks canceled her TV programs worldwide and stores even stopped selling her products. She disappeared from the public eye for a while, but was recognized once again after making insensitive comments about another Food Network star that passed away. Chef Carl Ruiz died at the age of 44, and many celebrity chefs posted beautiful tributes in his honor. However, while appearing on the Big J show, she was asked about his death, and her response was, "I'm not familiar with him, but I'm sorry to hear that. You know, they say the restaurant business will kill you. No pun intended." She laughed it off, but no one was laughing with her, and just when you thought she might get off the blacklist, she done did it again. Dug herself a deeper hole. Alright guys, at number 3 is Margot Kidder. She was a huge star back in 1978 after starring as Lois Lane in the Superman movie, but a missing persons report was filed after she disappeared for 4 days back in April 1996. No one knew what was going on until police found her hiding out in the bushes of a suburban California home. Police say that she was, I quote, "dirty, frightened, and paranoid with bruises and scratches all over her body." She ended up being taken to the hospital for a psychiatric evaluation. Once she was discovered, it was reported that she'd actually cut off all of her own hair with a razor blade to try and alter her appearance so that people wouldn't recognize her. She later spoke on the incident, saying that she suffered from manic depression and spent years working on it. Sadly, she did pass away on May 2018 at 69 years old as a result of drug overdose. This one didn't have a happy ending. Taking second place on our list is Lelaine, the adored Disney star from the hit TV series Lizzie McGuire. Fans started questioning where she went when she didn't show up in the final episodes of the series, and when they didn't see her return for the Lizzie McGuire movie either. In the movie, they said her character was on a family vacation in Mexico, but the real reason she went missing is because she was actually arrested and pled guilty to the possession of crystal meth. Somehow she managed to keep it all hidden during the time that it was going on. It actually wasn't until she had a warrant out for her arrest that it made headlines. She was charged with a felony after not showing up for her court appearance. After her legal issues were all sorted out, she went on to work a regular job in LA where she said it just paid the bills. It was recently announced that Lizzie McGuire was coming back with a reboot, so fans are wondering if maybe she will be making a return. Is she going to be invited? Will she say yes? We're gonna have to wait and see. Taking our number 1 spot is Richard Simmons. The hilarious exercise guru taught his last exercise class in 2014, and we haven't seen him ever since. Like literally, he walked out of the Beverly Hills studio and wasn't seen publicly for over 3 years. A podcast was created called Missing Richard Simmons, which claimed that he was being held hostage in his Hollywood Hills home by his housekeeper, or that he was possibly transitioning into a woman. Rumors started spreading, but his brother Lenny Simmons came forward with a statement saying, I quote, "He's not sick. These things about him transitioning into a woman are ridiculous. After 40 some odd years, he just decided that he wants to rest, he wants time to himself." The only reason he ever found himself blacklisted was because of his choice to leave and how he went about it, without any explanation at all. Fitness friend Billy Blank said in June 2019 that he thinks Richard will be making a comeback, but Richard's representative declined to comment on it. I mean, he's 70 years old now. Let the man rest.
So starting off our list today in the number 10 spot, we have Meta layoffs. The daytime Emmy Award winning series Red Table Talk Show hosted by Jada and her daughter and her mother has been cancelled. The news would come just after Meta started shutting down all of its Facebook Watch original programs. And Red Table Talk Show would be the last remaining show to be cancelled. With the show being produced by Jada and Will Smith's production company, the Westbrook Studios, Red Table Talk is a show that tackle current social and cultural issues from intergenerational lenses. The news of the cancellation would come after the departure of Mina Lafave, head of development and programming at Meta, amid the layoffs that affected more than 20,000 of the company's employees. However, the show's cancellation doesn't come as a big surprise, as back in 2020, Facebook started scaling back its original scripted programming after removing Sorry for Your Losses and Limetown. With Facebook pulling away from their originals so they can move into a different direction and focus more on users generating content. And Westbrook Studios is now reportedly shopping for a new distributor for the series now that their deal with Facebook has ended. Number 9, lies. When it comes to the Red Table Talk Show, it has been really hard for fans to connect to the show and the show's main host, Jada Pinkett Smith. And this has been a real issue for the show, as fans are just having a problem when it comes to believing what is actually coming out of her mouth. As on more than one occasion, some of the things Jada has brought up on her show has had fans calling her out on her lies. With the actor lying about more than one thing on multiple occasions, it makes us wonder if there has been any truth to any of her stories or with any of her guest stories. With Jada lying about almost everything, from the exact details about what happened with her affair on Will Smith, her alopecia condition, and her racial bias towards blonde white women, it has had fans and viewers for years calling out the star for not being completely honest with her audience. With the talk show mainly relying on having a good connection base with its fans, it just seems like the lies aren't keeping the viewers interested any longer. Hey, what's up my little sparkles? Are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you never have to miss out on what I might just cover next. So coming back to our list, in the number 8 spot, we have moving platforms. With the Red Table Talk being cancelled on Wednesday by Meta, according to The Wrap, the series had completed all of its planned content, but it wasn't invited back to create more, as Meta is trying to move in a new direction. With Jada Pinkett Smith's show being the last of the Facebook Watch originals, it has now also fallen to the axe. With the show premiering on May 7, 2018, it has often been responsible for causing shockwaves on the internet, as the Hot Topic episodes and the overall content covered were emotional, controversial, or NSFW topics, all while featuring some pretty big celebrity faces. With some fans being upset that the show has now been cancelled, don't give your hopes up just yet, as it's been said the Red Table Talk Show is reportedly looking for a new home, so we could see the show show up on YouTube, Instagram, or even a television network, as the show's production company Westbrook, which happens to be owned by Jada and Will Smith, is reportedly shopping so they can have the series appear elsewhere, in the hopes that they can continue on air with their platform. Number 7, embarrassed Will Smith. If there's one thing that's true when it comes to the Red Table Talk Show, it's that Jada has a knack for publicly embarrassing Will Smith on the show, as she has done it multiple times in the past, and it's really hard to tell at this point if the actress is doing it on purpose or not. Jada has used the show not only to discuss her feelings about Tupac, mocking a party Will threw for her, and the entanglement, but she also used the platform, which she hosted with her mother and daughter, to reveal some details about her family and marriage on podcast episodes. In one episode, she would find herself being heavily criticized by the public after she invited Gwyneth Paltrow on the show, so the two could have a conversation about intimacy. In the episode, Jada would start to talk about her and Will's love life, and she wasn't really afraid to bring up some issues they had, specifically about how she used to expect that Will could just read her mind and figure out everything she liked in the bedroom, and that she wasn't satisfied when it came to her relationship with him. It just seems like Facebook and the world is just done seeing Will's name being dragged through the mud, and the this may be why Meta is looking to branch out in a different direction and canceled their show. Number 6. August Alsina. With Jada also speaking very candidly when it comes to her marriage with Will Smith, she's also even sparked a meme to come after it on her serious emotional talk show. The meme is a screenshot from an episode in which Will and Jada are both discussing their long-term relationship. They even went on to reveal that they had separated for a short amount of time in 2015 and that during this time is when both entered into a so-called entanglement period with other people. They also touched base on the claims made by August Alsina after he came out to say that he had an affair with Jada. The topic of Will crying then started to become a trending topic on Twitter, with a mixed crowd of users using it as reaction style meme in a humorous way, with others expressing their outrage at his mental health becoming a joke. Jada personally would then become questioned in the process, as people couldn't believe that she would cheat on her husband with her son Jaden Smith's best friend. People also started to question what kind of mentoring she was giving August that left him feeling like he gave his all to their relationship just to be left feeling like he was destroyed. Number 5. Too much Smith family info. When it comes to the Red Table Talk Show, it just seems like Jada gives us all a little too much information about her family's personal lives. The show has literally become one of the weirdest talk shows we have ever seen, and it's not really weird in a good way. With the show possibly being one of the easiest paychecks anyone could ever get in their life, the family has been known to sit in a circle at their house and choose topics to talk about until they run out of time. And during this time, Jada would also reveal all of her family's dirty laundry, and some conversations became seriously disturbing to watch, like the time she dove into the conversation about the birds and the bees and talked about Willow and Jaden's first time and how she knew everything about it. The whole thing just had us questioning if we were watching an episode of The Kardashians or a talk show. But seriously, there were just so many moments that had us all questioning what was going on, and a lot of times we were even questioning what Jada's real motive was. There's just something about a mother that she should never discuss about her children in public, and this was one of those moments. Number 4. Substance issues. When it comes to the topic of narcotics, a lot of channels use the conversation as a trigger word, and they demonetize the video. So the fact that Jada used the Red Table Talk to talk about her past struggles with substances probably didn't sit well with Facebook or Meta. With the actress calling herself a walking miracle after she sat down with her mother and daughter to discuss the dangers of increased alcohol use in women, she would go on to paint a not so pretty picture of herself, after she pretty much labeled herself to be a wild party child back in the day. With the actor admitting that she used to mix both substances and alcohol together, she never considered that the move would cause potential health scares later on in life. She just wanted the feeling to continue, so when she wasn't reaching the same place as she used to when she was younger, she started doubling up on more just so she could keep going. Eventually, the actor would note that she had a wake-up call when she passed out on the set of The Nutty Professor in 1996. But Jada being so open about the controversial topic scared Meta, because they didn't know what other conversation she would have that could push the boundaries and demonetize the videos. Number 3. The Oscars incident. With many topics being covered on Jada's show, including Will's infamous Oscar slap, in which he stormed on the stage after Chris Rock made a poorly received joke about Jada's hair loss, and because Jada used her platform to bring light to the situation, she received a lot of heat over the incident. With Jada starting off the series to say, "This is a really important Red Table Talk on alopecia. Considering what I've been through with my own health and what happened at the Oscars, thousands have reached out to me with their own stories." The Matrix star then went on to discuss the Oscar slap, admitting she hopes both Will and Chris will have the opportunity to heal from their altercation. She then further went on to say, "The state of the world today, we need them both, and we all actually need one another more than ever. Until then, Will and I are continuing to do what we have done for the last 28 years, and that's keep figuring out this thing called life together. Thank you for listening." It just seems like there was a time and a place to address this incident, and it really should have been done after Will was finished healing. And the incident shouldn't have been used to bring in more views to the channel. Number 2. Views plummet. It seems like canceled celebrities will need to find a new platform for their apology tours, as the Red Table Talk Show hosted by Jada Pinkett Smith was scrapped by Facebook on Wednesday. With the series being the last Facebook Watch original with a completed final season, it won't be returning to the air. Well, at least not on Facebook. With the show being popular and a staple for many other celebrity social media talk show channels, even though the series started off with some great numbers, over time viewers really started to tune out, and they only started to tune into the show when something big would happen, like Jada talking about her entanglement, or when she decided to bring Jordan Woods onto the channel to talk about her affair with Tristan Thompson, or when she decided to talk about the infamous Oscar slap. With the Red Table Talk Show hosting some of the most iconic moments in pop culture history, it seems like only some of those moments only brought in a lot of views, as people really weren't interested in the show unless it revealed that more drama was going to be revealed. And over the time, because of this, the show's views just started to plummet. And coming in on our list today at number 1, we have Not Relevant. After having a promising breakout performance as Maureen in the Scream franchise, Jada's career looked like it was heading in the right direction. However, the momentum would stall in 1998 after she nabbed the lead role in the movie Woo, a film Variety described as a graceless, unfunny comedy that brings out the worst in just about everybody involved in it. In the years to follow, Jada would also land a few supporting roles in a few well-received films, but since her role in Scream, her record with critics has been spotty at best. Despite her best efforts, studios haven't really been keen on casting her as a lead lady, and the only really meaty role she's been able to sink into her teeth recently has been on television playing Fish Mooney in Fox's DC crime series Gotham. But even then, she hasn't done really anything impressive on the show, and it shows that Jada Pinkett Smith isn't really relevant anymore, and it could be the reason why Facebook is choosing to cancel her series. Well, you know, that's it for this video, my little sparkles, and until I see you in the next video, remember to keep on sparkling.